place, Carlos Sainz. In second place, Charles Leclerc. And taking his first victory of 2022 and the 21st victory of his Formula One career, our winner, Max Verstappen. What a race, Max. More tremendous racing between you and Charles, crossing the line just half a second apart. What were those closing laps like from your point of view?
Qualifying laps. It was.
I definitely enjoyed the fight. It's obviously disappointing to lose the win so late in the race, but it was a fun fight. It was very difficult because we had two cars that were in a very different place. I was very strong in the first sector, in all the corners, and basically much less strong in the straights. So it was very, very tricky. I tried to have the DRS in the last corner. It worked twice, but it didn't the last time. And then obviously there was this yellow flag. I don't know if we are speaking about the same yellow flag, but I think the one where I could have had a chance to at least be alongside was the one into turn one, where I had no DRS there. So this was a little bit of a shame, but it's part of the game. And yeah, we'll try again next race.
Now, you talked earlier about being able to push hard throughout the race. So tell us about the tyres. How consistent were they tonight?
They were consistent, but the first run was a bit more difficult. I think we did a great job by managing those mediums because it wasn't easy following Checo. But towards the end, we actually had quite a good pace on those mediums. And then on the hard, it felt nice. Whenever I had a little bit of margin, I felt like I could keep the gap to Max. But then obviously with the safety cars, with the virtual safety cars, as soon as he got into within DRS range, everything became a bit trickier there. But yeah, it's like this.
And Charles, tell us about that first pit stop. Lots of radio chat between you and the pit wall. Were you ready to pit, or was it all an effort to try and persuade Red Bull to put Perez in?
No, we were ready to pit. I mean, yes, we basically went for the opposite to Checo in front, and he boxed that lap. So yeah, I think we did the right choice.
Well done to you as well. Great race. And Carlos, coming to you, another podium. Many congratulations. First up, were you happier with the car here than you were 7 days ago in Bahrain?
I was happier than in Bahrain, definitely. There's been a bit of progress done from in my side of the garage with the feeling with the car. Also having the opportunity to come to this track 100 days only after we were here with last year's car has given me a much of a clear picture of the type of corner and the 2 or 3 corners that I'm still lacking with this car, because it's quite clear for me now. It has given me a great opportunity to understand fully the magnitude of how much I need to adapt and how much I need to get the car a bit more to my liking. And I felt like today we did a small step in the right direction, and still while I'm still not 100% with the car, to keep bringing the points and the podiums is important until I will get back to 100%, and it will be time to join these guys at the top for the fights.
Talk us through the start. It seemed you made a very good getaway, but lost out to Max on the exit of turn 2. How much did that compromise your race?
Yeah, it's a very narrow start here, so I had a very good launch out of the start, and then I was squeezed a bit in between Checo and Charles, and I had to lift, and this gave Max the opportunity to go on the inside and pass me outside of 2 with a better run. I was just basically a bit unlucky because I think I was just boxed in due to my good start, and I had to lift. So the good thing is that it was a good start, and they're going to be important for this year, those good starts, and we need to keep them up.
Well done to you. Let's open this to the floor here in Jeddah, first of all. Who's got our first question, please?
L'équipe, question to Charles and Max. 2 questions. In fact, the VSC, it seems that, Max, you closed the gap to Charles. Is there a way to play clever under VFC? And second question, how do you manage to fight for the DRS and be second as a driver?
For the VSC, I mean, I don't know. This is probably more a question for Max, and I'm pretty sure that if there is a way, he won't say it now here in front of everyone. But yeah, I felt at one point that Max was closer, but actually, I think at the actual restart, I don't think it was the case. But we'll look into it anyway. And yeah, I knew that the strength of Max and the Red Bull in general this weekend was the straight line speed. So I basically knew that if I was leaving Max with the DRS behind for the main straight, I will basically be overtaken very easily. So I just wanted that DRS. So on the first lap, I brake very early, and I got the DRS and managed to overtake back on the run to turn one. And then the second one, obviously Max knew that I was going to do that, so we both brake quite early. But I still managed to stay in front at the end, and the third time didn't work out for me. But yeah, I just tried to do the best I could to keep the position, but it wasn't enough today.
Max?
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little bit surprised myself that it did look a little bit closer, but I don't know how close Charles was, of course, to zero, you know, with the delta. That's always a bit of a question mark. But also, sometimes it depends a bit where the restart is. If it's in a corner for somebody in front or not. I think I was still on a bit more of the straights. I had a bit of a better run into turn 4 as well, so it's a bit tricky. Yeah, I think like Charles said, you know, you always try to, of course, have a good run with the DRS into the final zone, where then you have a lot of fast corners where you cannot pass. So of course, you know, Charles played it very smart there. But also, yeah, it seemed like their defense attack mode is very powerful. So for me also, it's even with more top speed, it was very hard to let's say nail the overtake. But eventually, yeah, it worked.
Thanks, guys. Next one, please.
Christian Minert, motorsportmagazin.com. Question for Max and Charles. Max, you already mentioned earlier that it was not fun to drive behind another car, but the battle you had at the end, the other ones being overtaken, having the chance to re-overtake and so on, do you think we could have seen this kind of battle with last year's cars or only with this year's cars?
Well, I think the cars are better to follow. It just depends on the tire. Like the hard tire was capable of following closer. The other compounds, and this depends on the track, but they just fall apart. Like as soon as you follow for a few laps, they just open up. And I think it's also a little bit of a thing, probably tires, but also the weight of the car pushes you over the tire edge. So this is something we need to look at for the future because, yeah, we improved the following with the cars and I think probably the racing, but if the tires don't let you due to whatever reason, if it's the weight of the actual car, that's a bit of a shame because in the first stint, I think we could have actually raced a bit more if the tire didn't die. So, because everyone was basically struggling with the same thing at one point. Yeah, we need to understand that a bit better.
Yeah, very similar comments, but it is definitely a step forward compared to last year in terms of following. The balance of the car is much more predictable compared to last year's car, where it was very difficult to understand whether you will lose the front or the rear being behind, and this helps us to have the confidence to actually push behind someone and to be a bit closer. So it is a step forward, but as Max said, I think there are other things that we can probably look at for the future and to make it even better.
Thank you. Next.
Aaron Yachi, motorsport.com. Question for all three. It has been suggested earlier that F1 could lose DRS when the new technical regulations prove to be successful. What do you think after this race? Do you think F1 should keep DRS because it offers a tactical aspect as well? Or do you think F1 should scrap DRS when the new car designs prove to be a success?
Why don't we go in order? Max, please.
Well, if I didn't have DRS today, I would have never passed. I think that we are still too sensitive for that. And of course, some tracks are easier to pass than others. But for me at the moment, if DRS wouldn't be there, I would have been second today.
Yeah, I think we still need DRS for now.
Agree. I think without DRS, passing would be reduced significantly. So I think we're still better off with DRS. What we might need to consider maybe is the speed delta that there is with DRS might be a bit too much, which gives the car behind maybe too much of a speed delta that sometimes the overtake is done before the braking, and you much rather have the two cars battling under braking rather than passing like in the highway. That is sometimes what can happen. So maybe we need to have a look at this, but we definitely need DRS nowadays.
Thank you. Next one.
Matt Q from Autosport Magazine. Question to Max. Was this battle with Charles more satisfying after sort of similar circumstances over DRS detection in Bahrain? And was that battle playing on your mind today?
Every battle is different, but yeah, well, it's just smart racing and good racing, So just have to deal with it, adjust to it, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was not easy, but a lot of fun.
Thank you. Another one.
Yes, Jesus Balseiro de Arias, question to Carlos. You're not entirely happy with your feeling at the car, but it's still 2 podiums in 2 races. So what are the good things you're taking from this start of the season at Ferrari?
Well, the fact is that, as you say, I'm not feeling 100%, but I felt like this weekend we already did a step in the right direction, and this gives me hope that if we keep working like this, then I should just keep getting better and better every race. It might need a bit of more trial and error, try in one direction, maybe not getting it right and coming back. But yeah, as I said before, I was here 100 days ago with a car that gave me a lot of confidence, and I was super quick around here with last year's car. And coming to this track and doing the same lap 100 days later with a car that doesn't give me exactly what I need or the way I feel, makes me realize exactly what I need to work on and where I need to put the car for the future. So it's going to be it has given me a great overview, of the situation. And I know exactly what to do for future races and in which type of corner I need to work on.
Thanks, Carlos. We'll go to the Zoom next, please. To the BBC, Andrew Benson, please.
Thanks, Tom. To both Max and Charles initially. In the middle stint of the race, it looked like Charles kind of had things under control. But then after the VSC, Max, you were all over the back of him. Charles, were you struggling with tyres at that point? We saw you have a couple of snaps at the last corner. And Max, we heard you being asked to manage through the high speed. Do you both feel that tyre management was or tyre usage was the decisive point in the race? And Max, just to you, because we didn't hear from you yesterday, after all the events of the weekend and the drivers nearly strike and so on, are you comfortable racing in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. So for the time management, I don't think we did anything wrong there, and yeah, I don't think it is the reason why we lost the win today. I forgot what I wanted to say. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah, and that middle bit, I was just trying to stay with Charles without hurting the tires too much, because that was a bit my problem in the first stint, to see what would happen in the last 10 laps or 15 laps. And yeah, then of course that VSC happened, so the tires also cooled down quite a bit. But then, yeah, when I started to fully push, seemed like we had good pace. So that's why I think I could actually push up to Charles a little bit. So yeah, a lot happier on the hard tire in general with degradation. And about the race here, well, we had a lot of guarantees that of course we would be safe. But I think after this weekend, all the drivers also together, we will speak with F1 and of course also team bosses to see what's happening for the future.
I'm back. So yeah, I think the point where we struggled the most is whenever Max got the DRS, basically, because our weaknesses were just bigger. The straight line speed difference was much bigger. We were still quick in the corners, but not enough to to have that margin to cover. So from that moment onwards, it was a bit more difficult for us.
Thank you. Let's come back into the room here in Jeddah. Next, please.
Beatrice Zamuner, F1 Analisi Tecnica. Carlos, can you just explain the nature of the problem you had on your car before the race? And did you fear you could not take part in the race at any point?
I am not sure if I'm allowed to go into detail about the problem. I think it's better you ask the team exactly what happened. What I know is that there was a bit of tension there because we were obviously about to go to the grid. And the mechanics and everyone just did a great job to put everything back together to have the chance to race today. So a big thank you to them. these things happen, and it was important, to get out there to score the points today. So, good job.
Thanks, Carlos. Any more? Any more?
Christian
One
Minert, motorsportmagazin.com. Question for Carlos. Do you think it was a bit unfair that you got the position back after the restart and not before that you had no chance to attack Max?
It's definitely very strange. I think as a sport, we need to keep analyzing these things, because we could simplify things so much more if Checo would have just given me the position during the safety car, which basically would have given me an opportunity to fight Max at the restart, and would have given Checo an opportunity to fight me to get the position. But what happened is that I was obviously fighting Checo, but I knew that Checo was going to give me a position quickly, and he couldn't fight me because he was going to give me a position back. So in the end, we created a mess that for me is unnecessary, given the fact that we did 6 laps behind the safety car, and there were millions of opportunities for Checo to let me by and have a good fight at the restart, and if I would have get passed by Russell, for example, what would we have done? Would have Checo had to let by Russell and me, which would have been tremendously unfair for him too, or then Checo doesn't give me back the position because there's Russell in between me and him, and it's tremendously unfair for me. So I don't know, it's just these kind of things that as a sport we need to keep getting better at, because I think we need to simplify things and just make it more quicker and easier for everyone to understand, and even for the drivers to go racing with a much clearer mind.
Thank you, Carlos. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Well done today. Great race. See you in 2 weeks in Australia.